Greetings, all here assembled. Who am I, and what would make me presume to hold your attention on this chilly afternoon? I asked myself that self-same question when invited to address this august congregation today. I can only say that I am a humble man of faith who spent most of his life in this region and in these parts. I, Stephen Griffing, came to this area not by birth, but by desire. I desired three things: hard work, strength of family, and adventure. If I were to tell you everything that I've done in my life, my adventures serving under General Washington in the Revolutionary War, the joys and travails of raising 9 children here in the wilds of the Adirondacks, my early upbringing on a farm in Long Island, it would take me many, many hours. And so I thought for our discussion today, I would focus on some epiphanies, some special moments sent to me from God, particular events which shaped my life and the destiny of the Griffing family. I suppose the first logical epiphany would be my birth. I was born January 22nd, 1754, in Riverhead, down on Long Island, to John and Sarah Payne Griffing, the 4th son in a family of 9. Our family history tells us that we're descended from Llewellyn Griffith, who was a Prince of Wales. My grandfather, Jasper Griffings, born in 1648, emigrated to America as a young man. My father also came from a large family of 9 children. My early upbringing on the farm was very rigorous, and I received an outstanding education. My Puritan father sought to make me a hardy soul, someone who would give his life to the soil and be an excellent farmer, and so I did acquire all those skills. But as the 4th son in a family of 9, I had a sense that I had to do something else to make my way in the world. The second epiphany in my life would take place in 1776, June specifically, when I answered the call to enlist in the Continental Army. Now, my father was a very wealthy and influential man and could have obviated my need to serve in the Army, but I had a great taste for adventure from my early readings, and I wanted to serve. And so I enlisted in the Westchester County Militia and served a 5-month term. During that period, my father moved our family to Connecticut, and I joined them there in October. I still had a yen for adventure, and so I enlisted in the Connecticut State Brigade, which was dispatched to Providence, Rhode Island, to guard fire ships off the coast. After that 3-month tour of duty, I still wanted yet more adventure, and so I enlisted in the Continental Line under General George Washington, rapidly rising to the rank of sergeant under the leadership of General Sackett. I participated in the Battle of Saratoga in 1777, and I was present at General Burgoyne's surrender. I was even presented with a musket by one of those Hessian soldiers that Gentleman Johnny had brought over from Germany to fight alongside of him. That musket became a prized possession of my family because during my service in Saratoga, my dear father passed away. That musket reminds me that his spirit guided me through that battle and kept me safe. I was then dispatched to a hospital to recover in Downingtown, Pennsylvania, and then with my troops I was appointed ensign of a company and sent to the Battle of Newton near Elmira, where we fought with Iroquois and Tories simultaneously. From there, I went to Morristown, New Jersey, where we spent a winter of cold and deprivation, but were comforted by the ministrations of Martha Washington, General Washington's wife, who brought us goods, provisions, and tender thoughts. I finally mustered out of the Army in 1781, but not before serving at West Point, where I was involved in witnessing the treasonous deeds of one Benedict Arnold. I was assigned by General Greene, at the orders of General Washington, to guard one Joshua Smith, who was the man who arranged the treasonous meeting between Benedict Arnold and Major Andre. I was chosen because General Greene was told to choose his very best men for this detail. The third epiphany in my life occurred in 1779 during a trip with my regiment on board a ship, traveling from Albany down to New York City. We happened to anchor for the night off of Staatsburg, New York, but we quickly realized we were in dire need of provisions. I went ashore to what looked like a prosperous farm to get provisions. As I strolled up the hill towards the farmhouse, I noticed two young ladies washing clothing in a large tub under a grove of trees. One of them turned out to be a family slave they called Black Bet. The other was a young 15-year-old girl by the name of Elizabeth Ewell. She was the daughter of this prosperous patriot, John Ewell. I was struck immediately by her beauty, even though she was involved in what some would consider to be mundane tasks, washing clothes in a tub. When she spotted me striding confidently up the hill, she immediately turned and ran for the house, leaving behind her a slipper, which I quickly picked up and put and kept in my pocket. Well, Mr. Ewell was indeed very generous with his provisions, and even later on towards evening, sent young Elizabeth down with her apron full of fresh loaves of bread, which we took on board. Our eyes met many times, but we never exchanged a single word. As she ran back up the hill, and as our boat pulled away, I said to anyone who would listen, over and over, when this war is over, and if she'll have me, I'm going to come back and marry that young lady. In fact, in 1780, I did make 2 trips back to visit Miss Ewell and her father to make known to them my intentions to marry her. In July, on the 3rd of July, 1781, we were wed in the little town of Rhinebeck Flats in a ceremony conducted by the Reverend Voorhees. Elizabeth was a young girl of 18. I was a strapping man, a fine-looking military figure by most descriptions, over 6 feet, of age 25. Elizabeth that day looked nothing more like than an angel, dressed in white, a beautiful silk gown with black stripes interspersed with a broader stripe of green. I remember that day as if it were yesterday because I've never been happier in my entire life than that particular day. Well, we settled in Palatine Plains on a farm near the Ewell's larger farm and proceeded to have the first of our 9 children. And then came the next epiphany in my life. That was our decision to leave the farm, uproot everything, and move to the wilds of the Adirondacks. When I had been serving in the Continental Army, a friend of ours, Abram van Benthuizen, had regaled me with tales of the life in the Adirondacks, the abundance of game, the open land, the almost uninhabited territory. When I served in Saratoga during the battle there, I was taken with the beauty of the Hudson River and also with the grandeur of the mountains further to the north. And so we bought a tract of land up in Thurman, hard by the confluence of the Hudson and the Scarron rivers. I believe now folks call the Scarron River the Scroon River. We purchased this land from a gentleman by the name of John Backus, who was a Tory who, after the war, declined to continue living in the Republic. We purchased 240 acres of land for the price of $1,000, and then an additional 50 acres of land, including the beaver pond, for $200. And we proceeded to move up from Dutchess County to this area. We arrived at the river on March 1st, 1800, at a place that's now then known as the Bridge, currently known, I believe, as Warrensburg. And we're a bit disconcerted at being informed by the local folks that the ice on the river would not support our passage over to the farm. Well, we were a little bit disappointed, but we spent the night in Jacob Dewell's cabin, and then by and by moved to a larger cabin a little bit closer to the bridge. While I was in the process of moving, the chimney caught fire in one of our cabins. I was away at the time, and two of my very industrious boys, 4 and 8 years old at the time, climbed up the chimney and put the fire out with skillets full of snow. They were very, very ingenious and very, very inventive. Life in Thurman was good to us, although markedly different from life in Dutchess County, where we had come from. There was a very nice school on the farm of John Thompson, and the children were happy. Most of our transportation was either by foot, by horseback, or occasionally by carriage. By and by, as happens with large families, our children all grew up and moved away, some to Fort Edward, some to Warrensburg. The girls all got married and got good matches, found good husbands. I grew old as the years went by. By age 77, I had lost the power of all my limbs, and in addition, I was wholly blind. We applied for a pension, and I was awarded the masterly sum of $250 per annum, and collected this each year for the rest of my life. My final epiphany was March 1st, 1841, when I departed from this world. The nature of my departure was chronicled in a brief letter from one of my daughters who attended my passing. She wrote to her sister, who was away at the time, "I sit down to inform you of the death of our father. He has been failing all winter. Last Friday he was taken worse. They sent for Sister Margaret Saturday morning. Sunday they thought he was better till night, then he started breathing very hard, and he rattled for some few minutes, and then he rested a bit easier, till Monday afternoon. Then they knew he was dying. He died very easy. He had his senses till the very last minute, apparently. Mother appears to bear his death better than one would think she could. All of the children were at his funeral, except yourself. Sister Sally stayed up with Mother, for I could not on account of young Timothy's health. Father died on the first day of March at 5 minutes before 8 in the evening, and was buried, as was the custom, on the third day. Except for my eldest son, John, all of my children lived to ripe old ages. Basically, in closing, that is the story of the Griffing family. A tale of epiphanies, a tale of having achieved what I wanted in life. Strength of family, hard work, and a sense of great adventure. That's the story of the Griffings, a family which brought renown and grandeur to this region, to our state of New York, and even to the world at large. Thank you for your kind attentions, and I bid you a good day.